this is it. This is the end. I want someone to just write my name in a death note, kill me now, because I don't want to be alive when this movie comes out. Please, just get out your death note. Write Aki Dearest down. You'll never see me again. Hey friends, it's Aki Dearest, and today I wanted to discuss the recent release for the trailer for the live-action adaptation for the Death Note series. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out, and for those that have, welcome. So, for those of you that have seen it, the Death Note live-action has reached in the top 10 trending page since its release, and has a like-dislike ratio of about 70-30%, and a comment section just raging over every look and detail of why this trailer and the movie is bound to be completely different from the original anime and manga, while others in the comment section tried to put that entire area in a nutshell. So flat out, I could say this is going to suck. I could go on a tangent just talking shit about why everything the director is doing is wrong, that the angle he's tackling Death Note in to make it a live action in his own way is completely off course, or why I just want someone to write my name in a Death Note right now before this even is released. Unfortunately, I can't do that today because the fair answer that nobody likes to ever hear is that this is only a 1-minute trailer. There's not a lot to go on, and we will have to save judgment for when it actually comes out in August, if for some reason you still want to obligate yourself to watch it. I know many of you dislike me for not going down that path, especially since I'm a pretty indecisive person. Unfortunately, I am going to essentially wait until it comes out, but I will say I have no hopes for this live action right now. I would be glad to be proven wrong at the end of the day when it comes out that this will turn out amazing. I will say though, from the past 6 months since the name changes, character changes, the entire setting of it, and so much has changed from the original anime and manga that I don't even think that this will be even a decent live action adaptation in tribute to such a pristine story. I will say I will confirm all judgment when it actually comes out, but admitting that everything has been brought up with a very poorly done first impression. There have just been so many red flags that I wanted to address, but I have looked at a few interviews from the director, looked at a couple of articles, seeing where the director's coming from, and while I still don't agree with the angle that he's tackling this, I wanted to explain why this might not be exactly a great tribute to the anime and manga, but it might turn out to be an okay movie in itself, and that's just me being optimistic. So a lot of fans of the original series think that this is going to be a failing tribute to it, while surprisingly there are others that think that this is going to be a respectfully done recreation of a film being its own with elements of Death Note. It's a little confusing, but I kind of get it. So in this video, I just wanted to come across with my own reasonings for why I'm not so optimistic for it, but also trying to really see where the director is coming from and why some people might turn out to think it's okay. Again, just saying it's okay is the most optimistic I'm going to get here. So starting off, in this article that came out close to when the trailer came out, a writer said that this movie will feature nudity and have a lot of violence, and later on he credits saying, "Believe it or not, this isn't the first live-action Death Note movie. Japan released 2 Death Note movies in 2006 and 2008 respectively, but weren't exactly incredible." I'll get back to that later. So with Wingard, the director, promising not to tone down the brilliantly twisted nature of the original, this could be the Death Note movie fans have been waiting for. It turns out the director also happens to have his own Reddit forum where you can ask him anything, and 6 months ago someone said, "So with Death Note on your plate coming up, how do you feel about anime adaptations in Hollywood? Outside of Netflix, do you think big studios are finally ready to take this genre seriously? Man, I hope you knock it out of the park, you totally can." The director then replies, "I think anime are due for the same treatment that comics got when Nolan did Batman. I think the key is straying away from overt anime styles like Speed Racer and Dragon Ball and instead try to ground the stories in more relatable ways. With Death Note, I tried to give it a gritty lived-in look. With that said, Death Note is going to be my most insane movie yet. It makes the guests look conventional." So, earlier with the first article that I was reading, the writer said that the Japanese live actions were done respectfully, but weren't incredibly done. Now right off the bat, I love the Japanese live actions, but I love them because they respected the original anime and manga, that they basically left the original story, the character design, the character names, the base vibe and setting of everything untouched. They did make a few twists of their own, but that's mainly just because the series is just so long, and when you want to condense it into a film and still make it enjoyable, you can't get every piece of conversation and dialogue in there. So there are a few things that they have to do to kind of just summarize everything or just put a few more of their ideas in there, but I'm sure it was with the approval of the original author author. And also, I will wholeheartedly admit the fact that it was also done by Japanese actors and done in Japan was a plus, but not the main reason for me liking this. The main reason I liked this was because, again, it respected the original manga and anime and made a fairly accurate tribute to that story. Now, for those of you that have seen those films, what if you then showed those movies to somebody who doesn't even like anime, who had nothing to do with Death Note or knew what it was, never even heard of it? If you just took the acting, if you took the costumes, the character designs, the scripting, what everyone is saying, some people might turn the other way and say that that movie was corny, because I am putting this movie also from what the writer and the director is looking at on this pedestal of just competing with other films such as anything from Hollywood or anything that is Oscar winning. I wouldn't exactly put the Death Note live actions as Oscar nominating, but I still love those movies because I am a fan of Death Note, and I think that the live actions that Japan did were not only doing justice for Kira but also the other characters and the story as well. So I think that's what the writer was trying to get at here, was because he thinks that the live actions from Japan were done respectfully for that anime and manga. He thinks that they were accurate enough to it. But if you were to put it on the grand scale of putting it next to, again, anything that was Oscar nominating, then it probably wouldn't be fallen into that category. If for some reason you want to know why, my critique on the live actions of Death Note that Japan put out was from the acting. It's honestly not the best acting in the world, but that's how the characters were in the story. And again, that's why I love it so much. The character designs very accurate. The costumes and the scripting, again, on the grand scale, not the best, but very accurate to the original anime and manga. And that is what this live action of Death Note really makes it so special to its Death Note fans, is because Japan made those movies to pertain to the fans of Death Note. It wasn't really made to be put on this pedestal of like, this is what masterpieces and how films should be. It was really just to cater to the fandom of Death Note. That was pretty much it, nothing else. But the way Wingard wants to approach his version is to appeal to two different types of audiences. One being the committed audience that loves Death Note, that actually knows the series, that is familiar with it, but also the audience that is just browsing around on Netflix that probably has never watched an anime in their lives that want to give it a try. I don't know if somebody who has never even seen Death Note will even like the film itself, but they might respect it that they've even just watched it. He's also comparing this to the Dragon Ball Evolution movie, that he doesn't want to go down that route. The reason why that movie failed so much and why he doesn't want to go down that route is because the Dragon Ball Evolution movie failed to please anybody. All of the themes and the looks weren't even accurate to the original anime. And going back to Wingard here, he believes that the key to making a successful live action is to avoid that quote overt anime style. The problem that he's done right now is this first impression of changing everything from the character names to the character design to the setting. So you've already lost what would actually be a big chunk of your audience, which is the fandom. The only one that remotely looks anything like their original character is probably Ryuk, which even that we don't even see. The voice of Willem Dafoe still fits in pretty well, I will give you that, but we only see like this little silhouette in the back at the end of the trailer of what looks like to be Ryuk. The Ryuk from the Death Note live actions, unless you make it look even more realistic, that's probably looks-wise the most accurate that you're going to get to Ryuk. Or at least that will have to be the base of what Ryuk is supposed to be like. This is now going to lead into what he was saying about how Nolan tackled Batman and how the comic industry and the film industry have now integrated itself into a really big franchise, and how he thinks that anime is now destined, or it can be potentially destined, to integrate itself into being just as successful as comics have been in the film industry. Now I'm going to gloss over this a bit. The reason Nolan did so well with Batman is because he made that film in a way where it catered to both newcomers of Batman who probably never even read the comics, and also the classic comic readers of Batman that are familiar with him. He was able to introduce Batman, but at the same time bring him back to those who knew him. And this can be said with almost every director who has tackled a Batman movie since the beginning. The name Bruce Wayne has never changed. The general story of it, to remind you that Batman is just a lonely little orphan without parents, will always be there. Now, as you can see from these pictures here, the character design and the logo has changed a bit over the years, only to fit with that generation, but generally they've kept with the same logo, the same style, in order for it to be familiar with the fact that it was Batman. If you're going to make a successful live action, that is essentially what you're going to have to do with anime in order for it to have any chance of being just as successful or anything close to as successful as comics have been. You're going to have to tackle it to where people may have never even watched anime, they probably never liked it, they will probably never give it a chance. But if done right, they will at least enjoy the film and the story, and so both parties of classic fans of an anime or new fans of that certain series will both enjoy. So from what I've seen in the trailer and based off all the changes, it looks like Wingard's more gearing towards introducing Death Note. The only elements that we've really been given of Death Note is the significance of the apple, the writing of Justice for Kira on the walls, the notebook of course, and the way Elle is sitting, but that picture is debatable. This trailer gave me the feeling that maybe Wingard wants to make this more of just a film rather than a complete tribute to the anime. But I digress, and unfortunately have to say that there's not enough to go off of, and I do have to save my official judgments until August. But as of now, your Blair Witch Project recreation in 2016 wasn't such a big hit, and I don't believe this Death Note live action will be the best turnaround. But giving whatever optimism I have for this film, I will try and view it not only as a fan of Death Note, but also just a pleased viewer looking at a suspense film. Now, if I'm proved wrong, I will give you a pat on the back for managing to master of what a live action is by catering to both audiences of both the fandom and also newcomers of Death Note as well. I'm still gonna watch it, but as a fan, I'll judge it of how much it made a tribute to the original, and I'll also try to view it as a film in itself. But let me know in the comment section down below of your first impressions of what you've been given so far. Do you think it's gonna be bad? Or are you actually excited for it? Or do you think it's gonna be meh? Feel free to post it in the comment section down below of this video. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more anime and otaku related content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!